we're coming in the morning. They howl when we're leaving at night. They howl when the coyotes howl. They howl sometimes with the train, and then sometimes they just howl to kind of break the. You can see it just brings a balance to the pack. Sometimes they howl after dinner. But the best howl of all is when you first start working here. When everybody leaves, they'll all howl, and it's this kind of, in the morning it's a yappy happy howl, and in the daytime, when you're leaving at night, it's kind of a most sorrowful kind of goodbye kind of howl. And when you leave by yourself and everybody's still here after you've been here for a month or two and they know you, they'll actually give you your own personal howl, and that's like the day you go, wow. I literally came here one day with my wife, and I just met the pack, and I just fell in love with them, and I started coming back like once a week, and then twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and then, you know, trying to survive financially and still coming up here because I lived in Sherman Oaks at the time. And it just, once you connect with these guys, they become like your family, you know, so I can't leave them now, even if I wanted to. Usually 2 or 3 is the age when they start to become a problem for people. When they're full size and they're behaving very, very wolfy behavior, you know. We always say they make good wolves but bad dogs, you know. They do everything whatever a wolf should do, guarding their bowl, you know. They're chasing small prey, trying to run out and be free. People don't like that behavior. In the wild, they're being brutally trapped and murdered and killed for no good reason. Because people get them thinking they're going to be cool, walking down the street with a wolf, and then they realize, I have a wolf, it's not a good pet. But the problem is, most of these people grew up fearing and hating these animals. The whole mythology behind wolves, you know, the werewolf and the killers and the evil, and you know, it's all about religion and folklore and different things like that. But originally we coexisted with these animals and we were friends. So we're going to stay away from the edges here. We're going to stay right down the middle, because Shady is a good boy. He's come a long way. He had a lot of trust issues for a long time, and he was very afraid of people, so he was very aggressive towards them, especially younger people, because he originally, right? You're a good boy now. He originally was kept in a dorm, a boys' dorm in a college, and of course that didn't work out very well. Tabu was tied up in a walled backyard for the first year of her life. The family really loved her, but they didn't socialize her, so she wanted to attack everything. She was very scared, because aggression always comes out of fear. She was like the problem child, and my wife and I we just loved her so much, so we started taking her home and socializing her. These guys were part of a sideshow in Alaska. There were about 26 of them. They were born and raised on chains. They lived their whole lives on chains. So the government out there said they wanted to close them down. They didn't know what to do with the animals, so they were just going to shoot them. He literally ate the back of his house off, dug all the way under the driveway and made this tunnel all the way to the length of the driveway. He jumped through windows, he escaped, he did all the things that wolf dogs do. And then finally he said, I can't do this. This animal is just taking over my life. So usually when the first time we bring a group of kids up here, we bring them into the compound, straight into the teepee, and they've never been here before, right? And they all come in with their iPods and their attitudes, and you know, they've just come out of this school where they have to be tough, and not let anybody show that they might be vulnerable in any way whatsoever, And a lot of these kids have gone through a lot of the same stuff these animals have. They've been abandoned, abused, neglected, and they're definitely misunderstood. I mean, people just don't trust them, So they end up in this school because they've either been fighting and they got expelled, or they've coming out of juvie because they've done something. So they come, and when they're in their own environment, I mean, they're these tough kids that have to have this front. So we bring them here, we take them into the teepee, and they sit inside the teepee, and we have them all sit around, and then we ask them to be quiet for a minute. And we ask them to, if they trust enough, to close their eyes and just sit quietly and breathe and listen to the wind and the birds and things like that. And then eventually, when the energy starts to calm down, which sometimes it takes them like 20 minutes just to close their eyes because they don't trust anybody, of course, and why would they? They don't know us. They're in the middle of nowhere in a teepee now. But when the energy starts to calm down in the compound, the pack will howl. And it's the most magical thing. All of a sudden, you've got these like 20 kids going, what?
Where do you guys get the funding for this?
It's all fundraising. Facebook, donations from the public. Most of our money comes from small donations from lots of people. We had about 8 sick animals that year, and they just drained our account. And I got there and I saw this pathetic looking creature with her ears all bleeding, and she had fleas all over, and she did not look well. I went and I sat close to her, and I moved closer and closer and closer. We didn't know if she was going to bite. We didn't know anything about her. She's not in good shape, but I can't leave her. So I called Paula, my wife, and she was sick in bed. She had a fever. And I said, you got to get up and raise money. So she jumped out of bed. She got on the phone. She got on Facebook. And by the time I got Kira to the vet, she'd raised $500, which is what it cost that day. By the time I got her here, she'd raised $1,200. And by the next day, she'd raised over $5,000. These are all the people that donated to her care. We literally reached out to the community, and they saved her life. This is the first day, and we explain the stories of each animal and what they've been through and how they've come out the other side. And there's a lot of lack of trust with these animals, and they've learned to trust again. There's a lot of abandonment, abuse, and a lot of misunderstandings, and they all start to relate with each of these animals, and they kind of get an idea for who they want to bond with, because, oh, he's like me, he went through what I went through, so they start to really feel that connection, and then the wall just drops, and all of a sudden you've got this kid in front of you again that you can talk to, right? Hiking every day. They're bonding with these animals, and they're learning how to take care of another living being. And then the animals do all the work. I mean, a lot of times we just step back and let the animals do the work, because once they connect with these animals, and it's said that a lot of scientists now believe that we're connected to wolves on a DNA level. These were the first animals that we ever connected with as a human being. When people meet a wolf, they've wired people up, and they're getting the same reaction as when they meet, say, a baby, and they look at a baby's face, and they're getting the same, electronic impulses inside their body. So when people see these guys, it's underneath all of that stuff, It's on a very primal level. Treatment centers we work with, they're young adults and sometimes adults. We ask them to first try and be silent on the hike. It's really hard for people not to talk, very difficult. And so they're silent on the hike, and we walk and they watch the animals, how the animals react with the land, and they bond with the animals, because that's how wolves bond while they're migrating. Much easier for them to connect with you once they're moving. So we take them on a hike, and then along the way we'll stop and I'll read a wolf principle. Which is basically lessons that wolves can teach to people. And our whole curriculum is based around these wolf principles. Things like wolves give 150% to what they do, so they choose wisely what they decide to do. One of our kids, one of our first kids, had been doing a lot of damage to the group home, and he had some aggression issues, and he came here and he learned how to build and he learned how to fix things, and he started going back and fixing stuff in the house. And now he's class president, and he's talking about going into politics, and he's going to start coming back and mentoring some of the kids.
Why did you pick wolves to rescue? Why didn't you pick another animal?
When I came here, it was like I didn't have a choice, you know? They just couldn't. They just picked me.
Someday my pain, someday my pain rock you, harness your blame.
So the education process is taking a lot of time, which is what we do, working with the kids, you know, bringing up a new generation of kids, because the generation that's running the country right now is not going to help these animals. But if we can really reach some of the younger people, and eventually they're going to be in that position, you know, maybe we can change it.
What might have been lost? 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 Don't bother me. Don't bother. What might have been lost? Don't bother. What might have been lost? Don't bother. What might have been with the wild wolves surround you. In the morning I'll call you, send it farther on. Salt and smoking, salt and smoking stars. You swing wide your crane.